intention is one thing, but when you find that the law is an impediment in your way, right, then the court is helpless. So if, for example, I mean, the issue on which the whole case turned, Padmaja, was that if the right to marry was interpreted as being a fundamental right out of the Constitution, if it flowed from the Constitution, then the court could have given relief. But the court found that the right to marry is not a fundamental right. It has to be statutorily conferred. The Supreme Court can't pass statutes, they can't legislate, which is why they eschewed jurisdiction, because they had none, and they tossed it back to that authority, which is really responsible and vested with the power to either recognize or not recognize same-sex marriage.
So what happens next? This committee, if and when it will be formed, how exactly is it going to make the lives of same-sex couples easier?
Well, first of all, I think they have to recognize what is lacking where same-sex couples are concerned. What are the disadvantages by not giving them this right? If same-sex couples can get all the rights or all the privileges which ensue upon being a married person, right, without them actually, getting married, without giving them the right to marry, if they can be given all those benefits, welfare benefits, etc., right, then perhaps they might stop short of that. But if there are certain rights attendant upon a marital relationship, right, which then require them to be married, they may then say that this is an issue for Parliament. The committee can be recommendatory, and it is going to do it expeditiously, right? So while the Supreme Court has shut one door, and rightly so, because the existing legislation on all they could have done, the best they could have done, Padmaja, right, is they could have said, we make a declaration that the right to marry is a constitutional right. But they couldn't change the existing marital laws, right, to accommodate that right to marry. Because marriage is not just a ceremony, right? It is a bundle of rights and liabilities, obligations, right? So, so a marriage can be void for non-consummation. Now, how do you apply that to same-sex couples? Then what happens in divorce, adoption, and so on and so forth? These are all issues which are attendant upon marriage. Now, the existing legislation, you could not actually encompass all these rights where same-sex marriages were involved, because the language, you'd have to torture the language, right? And it didn't contemplate it. Neither legislative intention behind all those statutes, right, nor the actual language of those various provisions in those statutes permitted a construction which allowed same-sex marriage to be incorporated within the four corners of those statutes.